Ladies and gentlemen, welcoming you all to International Affairs. This is being broadcasted from the Dhaka's Gulshan studio. There are many updates from around the globe we shall be discussing on this very program. Before we begin the discussions, I want to introduce all my panel for the discussions itself. In the studio, I have Editor-in-Chief of the Bangladesh Defense Journal, Mr. Abu Rushd. He, of course, has served in the military in Bangladesh. He has immense journalistic aspects and is an analyst for military updates from around the world. I welcome you on to this program. Alongside, we will have our geopolitical correspondent, Norman Floyd Barnes from Washington, District of Columbia. Before I begin, I want to start with Norman. There has been an update. King Charles III has addressed the U.S. Congress. He has touched upon various topics related to the worldwide politics, as well as mentioning regarding NATO, mentioning the US-UK friendship of over 250 years, and mentioned that to the Congress, while congressmen stood up to give him a standing ovation. Some of the comments that the King Charles has made can be seen as satire humor or British humor. I want to begin with Norman Floyd Barnes. The geopolitical debates surrounding King Charles' visit to the United States. How do you value this kind of relationship, Norman?
Greetings and good morning from Washington. Yesterday, the King Charles addressed Congress during a rare appearance, and he made some pointed comments about certain things. One was the need for the U.S. to fund Ukraine and provide funding for them with the war with Russia. And he also mentioned that the Iranian countries should not have a nuclear weapon. That's one of some of the big things he talked about during his address to the Congress. And the other thing was the point to Congress was that he referred back to the Magna Carta that executives, leaders should have a system of checks and balances. In this case, this would be Congress in terms of what they can and cannot do in terms of power. For that, he received a standing ovation. So the state dinner went pretty well. He received approval from Congress, and his points was very brief, but they was very strategic in a way that he normally does, talk about certain things, and it was well received. So, thank you.
Right. Interesting statement from Norman Floyd Barnes. Yes, it was very well received, as we've seen standing ovations happen in midst his speech as he was being interrupted by the quality of the words that was uttered by his mouth. That was important for American politics as well. Coming into the studio with Mr. Abu Rushd, you were hearing Norman and the backdrop of the King Charles III visit to US, a 4-day state visit. The last time the Queen Elizabeth, late Queen Elizabeth, had visited in such an event in 1991. And as per the latest updates that are coming out, US President Donald Trump is stating that the King Charles says that he is in support of Iran to not have a nuclear weapon. This is an active modern day monarchy, a king also coming in to the aid of the US. Magna Carta, the friendship between the US and the UK, is now there for the entire media to see. How would you value this position of Iran in the recent days? We know a proposal was sent to Washington, and of course, almost everyone could ascertain that Donald Trump would not be agreeing to some of these demands. How would you see this issue?
Of course, about the recent issues in the Middle East concerning Iran, the main point is the nuclear armament. USA and any other Western countries, they actually don't want that Iran should get the nuclear weapons. That is for sure. Even when Pakistan is mediating in between, it is being initiated through them that okay, the Iran might transfer their enriched uranium to Russia or some other countries, and you have seen that Iranian foreign minister has already visited Russia, and Russia has given them some assurance for peace and other things.
Right.
But coming to this UK issue about the king's visit, you know that America achieved their independence from UK, like us, as we did from Pakistan. But after that, they became the most trusted allies, strategic allies. During First World War, during Second World War, actually it was the American help which helped the British to win the war, or the allied countries to win the war.
Right.
But recently what we are seeing, that there is some problem underhand going on. You can see the British and the Europeans, they are not joining hands with the Americans for this Iranian aggression and the Middle East crisis. They want to remain aloof from this crisis. So, and you have seen that there were a lot of rhetoric from President Trump and from others that they want to leave NATO. This also happened. So the visit of this of the king to USA is very significant. Yes, it is significant, and he also said that they also don't want nuclear weapons. It's true, but so far the UK has been consistent in saying that they would not engage themselves in the conflict, and they didn't.
They have been putting that out very openly.
They
right?
didn't. Rather, they want a peaceful solution, and then afterwards they say that once the war is over, they would come and stabilize the region. So if you now see the Iranian viewpoint, what they are doing. Just today, President Trump claims that Tehran wants United States to open Hormuz Strait as soon as possible. It is his claim. Of course, Iran also wants, because it is they are also negotiating, and in negotiation you must understand that at one go you cannot solve all the problems. So far I know the Americans have 15 points, the Iranians have 10 points. The main points of the Americans is this nuclear issue. Now Iran wants some assurance that okay, fine, this is done, deal is done, nuclear issue, they would not have nuclear bombs.
They will not be enriching the uranium to weapons grade.
Grade, and they will give it to Russia or some other country. Okay, fine, it is done. But after 2 years, after 3 years, if again they are being attacked, and if whether the sanctions will be withdrawn or not, then what will happen? Say after 2 years, America or Israel again they attack Iran, then what will happen to them? We will give them the assurance. So they need some assurance. Now Pakistan is trying, Egypt is trying, Turkey is trying, Saudi Arabia is trying. Okay, there must be some assurance, because if you can remember that after the Cold War, when Soviet Union collapsed, during that period, Ukraine had nearly 3,000 nuclear weapons. Then America brokered the peace between them, and America told them that okay, we would be your guarantor. And then Ukraine handed over all these 3,000 warheads to Russia. But afterwards, you see what happened? Russia attacked Ukraine in 2014 and then took over Crimea. Then they took over a lot of the portions of the Ukrainian territory. So now Ukraine is fighting, but what is the guarantee? So Iran is probably thinking like that what will be the after effects?
In the future.
In the future, and they want some assurance. Without assurance, it will not be there. But we can expect, at least we see that yes, the America is not attacking Iran now, Iran is not attacking the other Gulf countries now after the ceasefire, and that is a good sign. So the negotiation is going on, but again, Israel has attacked southern Lebanon.
And a very gruesome attack.
Gruesome
using,
attack, and
unconventional methods as well.
You see that the Israelis, they don't want this truce to be there, because they have some ulterior motives behind it. They want it to solve it in a different way, in an arrogant way, which is, I think, is not allowing others to get it through.
Very important updates and specific situation analysis by Abu Rushd. Some of the elements that I picked out from your statements, of course, regarding the naval blockade that is still being held in the Strait of Hormuz. According to UN's Stephen Dujarric, he has said that the ships related to the Strait of Hormuz have been decreased 95.3% since the start of the war. And while food and commodity prices have risen up 6%, crude oil prices for Europe have risen up by 53%. I want to ask Norman Floyd Barnes, who joins us in Washington, D.C. Now, the topics also include a breaking story that come from the Middle East. United Arab Emirates, a nation that you have a historic work experience as well, they have announced its decision to withdraw themselves from the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, also known as OPEC. It will be effective from May the 1st, which is just around the corner. So, of course, this opens up the Pandora's box, the unity between Middle Eastern nations or nations who are exporting oil. They, of course, sense some kind of trouble in the Strait of Hormuz. How would you analyze this breaking news from the United Arab Emirates? Norman.
Yes, the UAE made a profound decision to break away from its long-standing relationship over several decades with OPEC. And what that means is that the United Arab Emirates has decided to uh, look towards their own self-determination, meaning they have the ability to produce their own oil, and they do not believe moving to the future that association with a oil cartel, OPEC, is to their advantage in terms of they want to have full ability to produce oil. So they want to be able to put more oil into the market, which benefits them and also benefits the rest of the world, and not be restricted by the controls of this cartel, oil cartel, OPEC. So this will go in effect on the first. This will have a is not going to affect anything in the strait as of right now, but long term, hopefully after this conflict is over, the prices of oil will go down because they have the ability to put more oil into the industry, and that itself will reduce the cost that we're suffering right now. But it also gives them the ability now they can negotiate with BRICS, they can negotiate with the West. They have ability to basically act in their own self-interest. And this is something I expect to see other countries leave these pacts and groups and make plans. India one, again, what is to their best self-interest. So that may mean them working with the West and working with the East, working with Soviet Union, working with China, working with North Korea, whatever it takes to get it done, but it's not going to be governed by a group that I'm in. So the ties had changed now, it's changing. And we're going to see a more of countries looking at their own self-interest moving forward and making deals and establishing relationships on a multipolar scale versus a Western or Chinese or even a North and South global situation. The global North versus the global South. They're going to make deals based on what serves their country and what makes them more profitable and their quality of life ensure that.
Right. As Norman was stating regarding the global North and the global South, how important these discussions are coming about. And of course, I want to focus very shortly as well, the remedial powers of the monarch, of King Charles III. He is trying to remedy. In a very carefully worded speech at Congress, he did mention the changing world without mentioning the word war or any kind of confrontation. Very smart way to handle a speech towards the Congress as well. And of course, giving heed to some of the American tragedies as well as 9/11 was mentioned by King Charles. But previously on this year, we've seen the US try to have their claim regarding Greenland, and also trying to see how the US and NATO ties are coming to a disarray because of the war in the Middle East. I want to ask Abu Rushd in the studio, remedial powers of the UK monarch. Do you think that Europe would once again, as we've known in the past, US and the allies were the states in Europe. So would you think that he would have a remedial effect in the coming days?
You see, though NATO was established among the Western allies, and USA was the main power among the NATO countries, they actually give the maximum budget of NATO. And always they stood beside the NATO countries. And the NATO countries also reciprocated. Say for Iraq aggression in 2003, the Afghan war, they came along with the USA. But this time it is totally different. Why it is different? Because after the election, last election, American election, you see President Trump started talking against NATO, that you increase your budget.
Defense spending,
we cannot
yes.
give your budget, we cannot give you more support. You increase budget to 6% of your GDP. If the European countries, they do so, then their welfare state theory will collapse. Simply
Right.
it will collapse.
It
They
will
don't
collapse.
have that much of
And
economy.
Spain did not actually agree on this very
Yeah.
accord.
Yes, and then suddenly he was claiming Greenland. You see, there is a sovereign place. And he was claiming, he sent his vice president there. And he was threatening, literally threatening. That time, the NATO countries, the long-term allies, what they would do? They just started consolidating themselves. If you can remember, the EU leaders, they started talking that we would not allow America to take over Greenland. We'll just anyhow we'll block it.
The Danish parliament started laughing at this very notion.
And you see, they were long-time allies. Just imagine, they are long-time allies, and now they are not reciprocating each other. So this is very significant. And some countries, they sent even troops to Greenland to protect it. So if you consider all these things, and President Trump was also telling the European countries that you should look after this Ukraine issue. America would not look after this. And you can remember he bullied President Zelensky like anything.
Right,
at
just
White
taking
House.
the term in a second.
So now if you see that during First World War and Second World War, the war started from Europe, and then it spread all over the world. Later on, America had to intervene and had to join the war in favor of the Allies. Now, the America being the #1 military and economic superpower of the world, but they want to actually, what they want to do, that they want to detach themselves from many things, because to consolidate their economy in the Western Hemisphere, that is probably their idea. If you can think and if you can analyze all the issues that are coming up, then, but UK once ruled half of the world for more than 200 years. America never ruled the world. So UK, a little bit, they are calm and quiet, but they are, I think, more crooked than the US politicians and the policymakers.
Oh, very excellent statement and judgment
they
regarding
know
the imperialistic forces.
Yes, how they know how to maneuver. You see, this Middle East, the British people, British government, they know bits and bits of Middle East. They know the subcontinent. They know Europe.
Right.
The USA, they don't know the culture. They don't know the topography and other things of Middle East as the British they do. So the British has better idea that what to do with these guys, what to do with the Arabs. If you can see that when I give the reference of Colonel T.S. Lawrence of British intelligence, who actually took along the Arabs and defeated the Ottoman Empire during First World War. So they know the Arabs more than any other countries among the Westerners. So they are trying to maneuver in a different way. Certainly the world will change after this Middle East war is done with. But then what, next what? There will be economic turmoil, financial turmoil, then there will be shortages of food, there will be reshuffling of many things. So wherefore you will get your energy, somebody has to ensure the security.
Food, shelter.
Everything,
Water.
everything will change, the diplomacy will change. Say for Bangladesh, we just do not know what to do, because we see that our long-time allies, say the Gulf countries, they are being attacked by Iran. Then Iran is attacked by Israel. So what to do with this?
Destabilizing the
USA
entire
is
region.
also our partner. We earn maximum remittance from USA. We export maximum of our garments to USA. So we have to consider all the things. UK is our partner too. So how we will navigate through this critical issue? We are a poor country. Say after 5 to 6 months, we may have shortages of food because there
Correct.
will be less. We will not get fertilizer, enough fertilizer.
There is a shortage of ammonia as well.
So the British government or British people, they know our country, they know India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka more than USA. They know Malaysia, Indonesia more than USA.
The Commonwealth.
But USA is maneuvering through Indo-Pacific strategy, you see. After Middle East, there was a report in CNN that the Middle East conflict is slowly and gradually stretching towards the Indo-Pacific region. It will affect the Indo-Pacific region. And maybe in near future you will see the countries like Japan, South Korea, Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, they will import oil from USA because USA is getting Venezuelan oil there and they are refining it. Already China is importing this oil from USA. Many may not know it. So the importance of Middle East will be shrinked. So in that scenario, what Europe will do? Europe has to get oil from here, easier for them, cheaper for them.
Right.
Will they turn to USA for this fuel? Maybe, may not be. It depends.
Completely. That was a very interesting take regarding the world situation, regarding the position of imperial forces as well as the future and how we will handle a food shortage, if not an energy crisis. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to take a short commercial break. Do stay tuned as we venture in to other topics as well. Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Pantha.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan,
opening an open war conflict with them.
Testing nuclear missiles.
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing.
Special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV screen.
Really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks.
Preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world?
For China to come to agreement,
They will face better projects.
With President Xi of China and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
simply not enough action being taken to address the problem of fossil fuels.
What their plan initially is towards the Caribbean, a place that has been met with two types of disasters.
Bangladeshi students at the same level of opportunity internationally and domestically.
International Affairs. Watch every Sunday to Thursday at 2 p.m. only on SATV and SATV Digital. Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Pantha.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan,
Opening an open war conflict with them.
Testing nuclear missiles.
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing.
Welcoming all our viewers back on International Affairs. Today, I'm joined with the Editor-in-Chief of the Bangladesh Defense General Abu Rusht in the studio, as well as Norman Floyd Barnes from Washington, District of Columbia. I want to talk about United States administration as well. We struck a pattern with Venezuela, then towards Greenland, and right now in Iran. However, we cannot ignore the fact regarding Cuba, island nation in the Caribbean. I want to ask Norman regarding a news that states that the U.S. Senate failed to pass a war powers resolution aimed at preventing unauthorized U.S. military action in Cuba. The senators voted 51 to 47 on the resolution, which was introduced by Democratic Senator Tim Kaine. Of course, Donald Trump has repeatedly stated that Cuba is next after the military operation against Iran and that the Caribbean island nation will fall soon. These comments, and we as a broadcaster and a journalist talking about this, drawing the patterns and trying to analyze what we will see in the coming days, weeks and months. I want to ask Norman, how do you see this? The king is in the United States. However, this kind of notion towards Cuba, the world is taking notice, and giants such as China and Russia will not stay silent for that long. I want to know from Norman, how do you see this regarding Cuba?
My response is that the United States current administration has been set up to the point where most of the president's demand will be approved. The War Powers Acts, again, Republican Congress, they had the votes. So now the president has clear authority, and he has the ability now to move about without concerns of Congress blocking things. Now, this goes on at least until the midterm election. So what we're seeing now is a variety of activities planned globally to ensure that the United States has what we call the America First agenda in place before Congress starts shutting things down. So the situation with Cuba, yes, is on the table. It has been announced. There's plans in place for that. So Cuba is the next country that is going to be called investigated by the United States in terms of basically whether or not they should exist as a sovereign country. So right now we're going to see the situation with Iran and the United States hopefully stabilize, come to a ceasefire, some type of concession. Just as we finish that comes to a situation where it's stabilized, you will see another military buildup, another attempt by the United States to go in and surgically reconstruct Cuba. So these things are planned, and now with the War Powers Act, the president has the authority to go in and do this with the support of Congress. This is something the King mentioned. King Charles mentioned that executives, and he was making a referral to this, should have a system of checks and balances, which means Congress should basically understand that no one person should have the authority to do this. So hopefully Congress will, Senator Kane has brought it up, and will probably bring up additional situation, seeing this pattern. This is a pattern of basically we're now going to dominate, we're going to take over, we're going to move, we're going to change things to feed our America First agenda. Unfortunately, the American First agenda is not the agenda of the world and other countries. So you're going to see countries looking at this situation from the outside. Okay, you're hitting Cuba now. Will we be next? Are we the next country in plan? Are we the next region in place? So now you're going to see a shift, a change, where countries are now looking at their self-interest and start providing self-protection for themselves and putting things in place, meaning new relationships outside of the Western influence that may protect themselves. So the new rule of the day is basically, I'm going to make friends with my enemies, and my enemies going to make friends with me, because we have a common mission. The common mission is basically we want to survive and move forward. Because when we don't and we stay in the same situation, a situation like Venezuela, Cuba could be next for us.
Right. A very important analysis regarding the Cuban situation from Norman Floyd Barnes. I want to come back to the studio with Abu Rushd. There was talks, I want to break it down very simply put. Usually when we talk about Russia or India, we really do not see the differences. However, during the Russia and Ukraine confrontation, 4.5 years of fighting between the two nations, the Russian economy is being supported by their crude exports to India, and India itself relies heavily on imported in crude. However, Donald Trump had mentioned 50% tariff on India last year because of this relationship between Russia, and of course there's a defense treaty which allows Russian troops to be stationed in India. It is under, which has been negotiated for the past 8 years, the Relos agreement signed in Moscow. I want to ask you, sir, these two nations and the relationship with the United States, the military build-up, very near to Bangladesh land and waters as well.
India and the then Soviet Russia, they had a very good relationship. If you can remember that in 1971, it was actually the Soviets who helped India to defeat Pakistan. On the other hand, the Americans didn't supply any weapons, any spare parts, any ammunition to Pakistan. Neither did the Chinese. They didn't support, they didn't come to their rescue. Why? Because in 1971, in July, from 9 to 11 July, the then National Security Advisor of USA, Mr. Henry Kissinger, had a secret trip to Peking, which was negotiated and organized by the then Pakistan government. And he secretly visited Pakistan, and then from there he flew to Peking, the then Peking, now Beijing. Then he had a meeting with Zhou Enlai. And that actually was the beginning of the relationship between China and USA. And that upset the Russian part, Russian bloc, Warsaw bloc. So on 15 July, it was announced openly that yes, Mr. Henry Kissinger visited Beijing. Then and then, within 1 month, the then Soviet Russia signed a defense agreement for 25 years with India. And during 71, they helped like anything. Even the Russian pilots, they flew the electronic warfare aircrafts like the AWACS of present-day AWACS, like that. Those aircrafts. It is called Elint aircrafts.
Right.
The Russians, they flew those aircrafts. They helped with their satellites and other things. The Indians. So after that, after that, in the 1980s, Russia supplied India with or leased a nuclear submarine in this region when Pakistan, USA and all other Western countries were fighting the Soviet aggression in Afghanistan. So this is how they tried to have a balance here in favor of India, because India that time sided with Soviet Russia, naturally. Now in 2026, they signed this agreement which is called Relos. That is actually, this is a allowing this on as of April 2026, India and Russia have entered a logistical agreement, Relos, allowing for the reciprocal presence of military personnel. This framework permits up to 3,000 troops, along with warships and aircraft, to be stationed on each other's territory for logistics, training and maintenance. It is overtly tailed, but you know what it means. And now why India is
allowing 3,000 is the same as allowing 3 million. You have
why
allowed.
You are doing it. India is a huge military power. They have more than 1 million soldiers. They have thousands of aircrafts, tanks and other things. They have nuclear weapons. Why India is doing it? Because you see the Americans, they are now getting close to Pakistan.
Very close.
Very close to Pakistan. The President Trump invited Field Marshal Asim Munir twice.
Multiple times.
And he had lunch with the Pakistani Chief of Army Staff. It is very unusual. And Pakistan is, of course, the friend of China. They are the #1 friend of China. Their main armaments and technology come from China. But if you just see through behind the curtain, then you will find that the Pakistan gets all the attacking weapons from USA. India doesn't get. Pakistan gets F-16, Pakistan gets Howitzer, Pakistan gets AWACS, Pakistan gets EW, electronic warfare equipments, and lot many other things. And if you see the geostrategic location of Pakistan, so Pakistan gets preference for USA. And recently another steps were taken by World Bank. Probably you know that Pakistan was taken out from South Asian region and they were merged into the MENA region. Now it is called MENA. So this is very significant. And Pakistan was given the responsibility of negotiating this crucial Middle East crisis. So the importance of Pakistan has grown up. And during 2025, last year, this May, month of May, they had a war. And Pakistan literally bashed India in that war. So if you consider all this, India is very much shaky now. So they want to consolidate their power. So who is there? They want to bring Russia. But it is very significant for us.
Right. Sir, I want to interrupt you. The relationship you have analyzed regarding India, Pakistan and the military build-ups in the region. I would want to ask Norman Floyd Barnes as a closing statement, would you agree with some of the statements that we were discussing regarding Russia, regarding India? The friendship has spanned several decades as well. Norman, how do you see this kind of affairs here in this location?
Yes, as we move towards a more multipolar world, strategic relationships are developing as a result of what we spoke about earlier. Pakistan, India, they have to decide which way they want to go. You saw what's just happening is about to take place with the UAE. The United Arab Emirates is one example of exactly how people are looking at moving forward. Countries have to understand that they have to have a relationship with both sides. They have to have a situation where they can protect their own self-interest. Relying on any one party can shift any time, particularly there with the Western world, because we shift our administration every 4 to 8 years. And so what we said yesterday may not be in place in 4 years. So you have to balance out and understand that trust where, hey, my big brother is going to take care of me without question. The days are gone. The days are gone. Now you have to understand that you have to have relationships and have understandings of exactly what your capabilities are, what your relations are, what needs you have, and not be dependent. This should be a lesson. What's happening right now this year in the Strait and globally did not happen overnight. This is a buildup of over 20, 30 years. These things was announced and it was told. So now we're in a situation where now you have to make drastic change. So moving forward, countries have to understand, how do I best position myself so I can get an advantage and not be stuck with someone else's sanctions, someone else's rules, or basically we would drop and we have to buy resources, particularly energy, from other places. We have to be self-reliant. We have to do things that we can do, because there's no guarantee about the future. There's no guarantee about what deals or sanctions or ceasefire or any type of things going on is going to hold up. So if you don't have anything, you don't have anything. Thank you.
Thanking Norman Floyd Barnes for his excellent remarks regarding the world issues, how everyone should actually enrich themselves in order to project some kind of leverage towards allies as well as enemies. Interesting debate happening. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to take another break. Please do stay tuned as we discuss some of the topics related to Bangladesh as well. Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Pantha.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan,
Opening an open war conflict with them.
Testing nuclear missiles.
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing.
Special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV screen.
really coming to terms with Hamas.
Damage estimated between this entire issue.
President Trump is expected to hold bilateral talks.
Preserving biodiversity and tackling climate change.
We cannot protect the planet before we negotiate peace.
Where is it going? Is it understanding the needs of its people before the needs of this global world?
For China to come to agreement,
They will face better projects.
With presidency of China and President Lee of South Korea.
Trump's White House that is in favor of these things.
Simply not enough action being taken to address the problem of fossil fuels.
What their plan initially is towards the Caribbean, a place that has been met with two types of disasters.
Bangladeshi students at the same level of opportunity internationally and domestically.
International Affairs. Watch every Sunday to Thursday at 2 p.m. only on SATV and SATV Digital. Hello and welcome to International Affairs, and my name is Shamsul Alam Pantha.
I don't see an easy resolution to this because every slight deviation from the plan
Opening an open war conflict with them.
Testing nuclear missiles.
Russia's announcement of these supposedly successful testing.
Special and exclusive footage that is being played on SATV screen.
Welcoming all our viewers back on to the last segment of International Affairs. We were having conversations regarding this new world that we see in this year, 2026. I believe a year that is having swift changes brought in to this century. Interesting debates were being held in this very show. Coming to the studio with Abu Rushd, some of the topics does have an impact on Bangladesh. We've seen the 60 days of the war having impact on the energy issue as well as the food crisis, or the impending food crisis, I should say. The Rupur nuclear power plant has received its nuclear fuel as of yesterday, the news suggests, and of course fertilizer plants are very important for the harvest yield that we will see in this summer, given the fact that for the last 20 days we've seen intense heat waves as a fact of the El Nino effect happening in Bangladesh. Not only so, for the last 3 days we've seen increasingly rainfall across all divisions in Bangladesh, especially in Sylhet, and of course in the coastal belt of Chittagong. We've seen floods are occurring. How would you compare Bangladesh's situation in comparison to the worldwide affairs?
Yes, of course, Bangladesh is such a country that we depend on our cultivation, we depend on our crops. And food security is one of the most important thing in our country. So we are not getting fuel, as it is happening for almost all the countries in the world, but maybe they are managing in a better way, we may not manage in a better way. But yes, but apart from this, we should be very concerned about fertilizer, because we have 5 fertilizer factories. So far I know that out of 5, 4 are now shut due to gas shortages. So you can imagine. And we don't only use urea, we use some other fertilizers for our cultivation. So we import all this fertilizer from Qatar and other countries, from the Middle Eastern countries.
And once again, that strait becomes important.
So now the Strait of Hormuz is shut, so we cannot import this fertilizer. So what are the sources, other sources we should have? Russia is one of the sources, but so far I know that Russian fertilizer will not work properly in our country. It doesn't match with our land and other things. So another source of the fertilizer is USA. Say after 1976, we imported US fertilizer, and it helped us a lot because they produce all types of fertilizers. So we can import fertilizer from USA. But now the question is, are we discussing with the US government regarding this? Otherwise we will be delayed. Indonesia, Malaysia, then Philippines, these countries are already negotiating with USA for fertilizer because they also require fertilizer. They are also negotiating for fuel. You can bully USA like anything You can raise so many hypes against USA, but the ground reality is that for a country like Bangladesh, we must understand the complexity of this Middle East crisis.
Correct.
And we should adjust ourselves. It doesn't mean that we will say go against some other country. It doesn't mean that they will go against Iran or will bully them. No, we don't require to do that. But we must adjust our policy, and we should act just right from now, because after 5 or 6 months, if we continue like this, there will be shortage of food, huge shortage of food, and it will be dangerous for our country, because if you see the village people, they depend on cultivation.
Right.
And we have to import a lot of food. Where from we will get food? If you want to import rice from, say, from Thailand, they may not give us.
At this crisis period, they will have to serve their own interest.
Say we may have money, we may have reserve, we may have more reserve, but India will not give you rice or some other things, food items. So where from you will get? Whatever you have to manage with that. So right from this moment, Bangladesh government should negotiate with USA or from some other sources like South Korea for fertilizer. This should be number one priority, and we should consider also for this fuel. Say we can now get fuel from Russia, but there is a problem
of refining.
This fuel cannot be refined in our refinery. We have to send it to India. So few days back, the biggest this refinery of India, by a Reliance refinery, that was set on fire. So they have now less capacities to refine crude oil. So they will give preference to their requirements first. Then they will serve our purpose.
Of course.
So if you get even Russian oil, then you have to come through India. So that is a problem. So we should also think about some other sources, alternatives. Now, what Saudi Arabia did recently, Saudi Arabia and Iraq, especially Saudi Arabia, they have already constructed a pipeline bypassing Hormuz from Abqaiq to Yanbu, and this Yanbu port is on the Red Sea side. So per day they are exporting 7 million barrels of crude oil from Yanbu port, and that is in the Red Sea. So we can negotiate with Saudi Arabia, we can get some more fuel from them, more oil from them. Pakistan, Turkey, Indonesia, Malaysia, they are getting substantial amount of oil from them. So we can negotiate with Saudi Arabia. They may help us.
Right.
Then there is a project going on from in UAE, the Habshan to Fujairah. They are trying to bypass. They are trying to build a pipeline. So we can also start negotiating with UAE that we should get fuel from them,
right,
and from USA also. Why from USA? Because they have lot of fuel.
They created this mess.
Whatever may be the case, we don't require to consider this. Let them fight. Let them solve the problem. We have to solve our problem.
Yes, correct.
If we have to, if China can bring import fuel from USA, being rivals, then why should we wait? We depend on them in many fields.
Aspects,
so we can negotiate and get the fuel. We should solve our problem. We should not bother about how things will be solved or how things will turn. We should concentrate less on that. We should concentrate more on fertilizer and fuel.
No, I must thank you, Abu Rushd. Very descriptive, very to the point analysis that you've brought onto the table in this discussion. I must thank you for your valued time and insights regarding international and national issues. Also thanking Norman Floyd Burns for joining us almost on a daily basis. Ladies and gentlemen, as I end the program, I want to remind all our viewers as well, given the weather of today, in 1991, Bangladesh faced a severe Category 5 cyclone which took almost 140,000 lives back in the day, this very week back in history. With that being said, I want to sign off on International Affairs. I shall see you all on tomorrow's episode.